Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Eliel. In this incarnation, today I am here to talk about the full moon in Scorpio that we are going to have on April 23rd. I'm going to put them up on the screen. This is going to be given in the degree 4 of Scorpio in a square with Pluto in Aquarius. So people with fixed signs in the ascendant or planets close them to the mathematical degree of this lunation, 3 or 4 degrees before and after, they could feel it more, but we are all going to feel it. Certainly. And, this is something that we are already vibrating, not only because every full moon is felt 1 week before and after, also because the sun in Taurus is already creating this tension with Pluto. Every full moon in Scorpio is given with the sun in Taurus. So this is a moment of death and rebirth, of culmination, of endings, and of illumination of something that was hidden to the consciousness. It is about integrating aspects of us that could have been projected on the external, and they are shown precisely so we can consciously transform inside those things to change their reality. What occurs many times with the things that are in the shadow, is that the ego in this connection could reject them, could fear them, and this is going to make more difficult the process because this is going to produce suffering in the end. The phases where something has to die cannot be controlled and cannot be stopped either. We can only learn to flow with them, embracing everything that emerges, emotions that emerges, the intensity, and what we are, because the parts of us that still function operating from the conditioned patterns, they don't change from the judgment to ourselves, but also they don't change by denying or rejecting them. Both are expressions of the ego. So it comes to light, what was repressed in the unconscious, and this could be linked with situations, of trauma, abuses, or the liberation of veils to that help us to assimilate better the experiences that we transited that were painful. Traditionally, this is the Scorpion lunations about. But what happens here is that it is in this tension with its regent. Pluto is in the degree 2 of Aquarius. In the previous years, Scorpio was South Node. So we've been experimenting this double intense purges in those lunations because they were eclipses. So right now we are discovering what are about these tensions with Pluto. And for example, in the full moon that was an eclipse of 2023, of May of 2023, Pluto was in Aquarius there. Then at the final part of January and February, mainly February, of 2024, we've been feeling conjunctions of planets in Aquarius with Pluto. I am telling you this just if you remember what happened at those times, because this could help you to identify what represents Pluto in Aquarius for you in your experience, because this is a very, very new transit. We are used to the transformation, Capricornian transformations, to let the old structure, to recognize the old structures that have to be demolished in relation with the status quo, responsibilities that served to an old paradigm, the relationship with authority figures and with the internal authority. That was Capricorn. And every time that we are talking about Pluto and Scorpion energy, we are talking about destruction of external forms and internal perceptions to purificate, to create purification. And this also requires to face our demons, the monsters. So the situations that are perceived from fear or as a threat or as a threat, or that are activating resistances, it is because we are giving them that power. Yesterday I talked about the power, if you want to see that video. And of course, they are going to emerge, it is going to emerge a lot of things in the collective level that are being exposed precisely so that the collective can be reflected in those shadows, to bring them to consciousness. Well, Pluto in Aquarius has another purpose. The transformation of Pluto in Aquarius is different. Is not Capricorn. So, what is not letting you to be free? What aspects of you are creating this prison? Because in the end, these aspects are giving form to the material reality, Taurus. Because if freedom depends on that, every time everything is aligned to what we want, then freedom in this plane cannot exist. But the true freedom is actually an inner state. So it is good to ask to ourselves what parts of us are anchoring in this prison of perceptions that doesn't allow us to see the infinite possibilities. Identifying what parts of us are making us feel stagnant, uh, because that is the ego fighting. That is the ego fighting to not move from that posture. When there are tensions with fixed signs, there could be an increasing tendency to resist change. But life is change. Life is movement, and death is part of the movement also. And we have these paradoxes, in the world of the dualities in this plane. And I could give an example that I put many times before, that I mentioned many times in the channel, because sexuality, which is a theme very linked with the energy of Scorpio, what many people could consider it sexual freedom in terms of sharing the act merely for the practice, without commitment, without feelings, without that kind of connection, is actually a prison masked, a masked prison in disguise, because that kind of acts, they are created from a fear of connecting in a deep way with others. And there is hidden the fear not of undress the bodies, to expose the bodies, but to expose the soul. And it is not freedom either, because in reality is the conditioned identity operating through traumatic experiences that generated limited beliefs that it is not possible to open ourselves deeply with others and transform each other in different phases of life together, and still being free, free of choosing each other, free of choosing, see, each other, and not from this attachment of controlling and possessing each other to cover the inner voids. So this could be an example of the paradoxes in terms of freedom, and how many things that could be considered as freedom, well, maybe they are not. The dualities are linked with the extremes. When we are touching an extreme, and Pluto puts them in very evidence. I'm not if I am saying this correctly, but Pluto puts them in evidence precisely precisely for us to see them, to understand how we are operating from those extremes, and we can find the middle path, which is linked to aligning ourselves with consciousness. On the other hand, we cannot separate that this event is happening in the conjunction with this conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in the degree 21st of Taurus. So beyond other things that I mentioned in videos before, this is a moment of big revelations of the truth, which is Jupiter, a truth that breaks with structures and beliefs that were established, a moment of a lot of synchronicities and sudden comprehensions in that area of our life, of connecting all the pieces and suddenly perceived a much more ensembled puzzle. And the puzzle is something that we are always arming, that we are always understanding more, because the more we elevate our consciousness, our perception becomes more unificated, not only in terms of our individual experience, but also with the collective. All the pieces are fitting. So Pluto in Aquarius, coming back to Pluto, is telling us that transformation is to jump into the void all the times, as many times as we need to do it, to give the jump without knowing what is coming, because what is behind, what we are letting go of, is happening in order to uncover new levels and dimensions of ideas, of creativity, and to become more genuine ourselves, and express what is different in us, that is not separating from the others. On the contrary, what is different turns us in a piece of that great puzzle that the big community of humans are. So we are a component that, when we are expressing our energy, the energy that our soul came here to express, we are giving life, Taurus, and light to the others. This axis, Taurus, Scorpio, represent life and death, but not because they are the contrary. They are contained. They are complementary. Death gives way, opens the way for life, and what is stagnant is really what represents the energy of death. So even if it could be painful sometimes, the destruction that allows the entrance of light is something that we could be grateful for. At the time, we can be grateful for those processes, because we cannot force be grateful for the things that are painful. But once we understand why they happened for us, or what they show, or what we learned, we could be grateful for that, not maybe for the pain itself. But well, as a last thing that I wanted to comment, Mars, which is the old regent of Scorpio, is still in Pisces in this full moon, and is going to be approaching Neptune. It is going to do a conjunction, but still not exact for by this moment. So the advancement with that Mars in Pisces near of Neptune, the advancement is hearing the soul, or losing ourselves in the confusion of the rational mind resisting the inner call. The advancement is surrender ourselves, surrender the interests of the ego to a superior cause, a higher cause, trusting that movement, precisely that action, is manifesting the dreams. So we will talk about more Mars the next days, and we will talk about this full moon too, because we have intense days ahead. So, well, family, I am ending the video here. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.